None of us believed the legend. We had heard the stories countless times, passed down through generations. But to us it was just that, a story, a tale to scare children and entertain the bored. We laughed it off, dismissing it as mere folklore, until that night in Pine Ridge Forest. The forest, with its towering pines and dense underbrush, had always been a place of mystery. The locals spoke of strange occurrences, of eerie sounds that echoed through the trees, and of shadows that seemed to move on their own. But we, eager for adventure, paid no heed to these warnings. And then the Skinwalker showed its true face. A creature of legend, said to be able to take on the form of any animal it desired, but with a sinister twist. Its true form was a grotesque amalgamation of human and beast, a sight that would haunt anyone who laid eyes on it. We were 5 friends, Emma, Liam, Sarah, Tom and Noah, thinking we were in for a weekend of fun. We set up our tents, gathered firewood, and prepared for a night under the stars, completely unaware of the terror that awaited us. Around the campfire, Liam laughed off the story, his voice echoing into the night. "It's just a myth," he said, shaking his head. We joined in, our laughter mingling with the crackling of the fire. We toasted marshmallows, told ghost stories, and enjoyed the warmth of the fire, completely oblivious to the eyes watching us from the darkness. But as the fire died down and the night deepened, Emma woke to a disturbing rustling. She sat up, her heart pounding in her chest. The sound was faint but unmistakable. Something was moving outside her tent. She held her breath, straining to hear, but the rustling continued, growing louder with each passing second. Peeking out of her tent, she froze. Her eyes widened in terror as she saw a shadowy figure standing just beyond the campfire's dying embers. It was tall and gaunt, with long limbs that seemed to stretch unnaturally. She wanted to scream to wake us, but fear held her in place. A shadowy figure resembling a deer stood there, its eyes painfully human. The creature's gaze locked onto hers, and she felt a chill run down her spine. Those eyes, filled with malice and hunger, seemed to pierce through her very soul. She knew in that moment that this was no ordinary animal, and then it began to shift. The creature's form twisted and contorted, its bones cracking and reshaping. It let out a low, guttural growl as its body transformed, becoming more monstrous with each passing second. Emma watched in horror, unable to look away. She screamed, alerting us, her voice cut through the silence of the night, jolting us awake. We scrambled out of our tents, our eyes wide with confusion and fear. "What's happening?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling, but Emma could only point, her hand shaking, at the creature that now stood before us. The creature lunged at us with terrifying speed. It moved with a grace that belied its monstrous appearance, closing the distance between us in an instant. We scattered, our screams echoing through the forest. Tom tripped over a root, falling to the ground, and the creature was upon him in a heartbeat. Quick-thinking Liam grabbed a burning branch, driving it back with flames. "Run!" Noah shouted. The creature recoiled from the fire, its eyes narrowing in anger. Liam swung the branch wildly, trying to keep it at bay, while the rest of us took off into the forest, our hearts pounding in our chests. We sprinted into the dark forest, the creature's pursuit a horrifying blur behind us. The trees seemed to close in around us, their branches clawing at our clothes and skin. We could hear the creature's growls, growing louder and more desperate with each passing second. We didn't dare look back, knowing that to do so would mean certain death. By dawn, we stumbled back to our campsite. Exhausted and terrified, we collapsed to the ground, our bodies trembling with fear. The forest, now bathed in the soft light of morning, seemed almost peaceful. But the memory of the night's events was still fresh in our minds, a haunting reminder of the terror we had faced. What we found was pure destruction, as if something had rampaged through it. Our tents were torn to shreds, our supplies scattered and broken. The campfire, once a source of warmth and comfort, was now a smouldering pile of ashes. It was clear that the creature had not been content to simply chase us away. We fled the forest, haunted by the memory of those glowing eyes, eyes that promised the terror wasn't over. As we drove away, we couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. We knew that the legend of the Skinwalker was no mere story, and that the creature would always be out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next victim.